Ever feel lost? Like adrift, no compass? Today we're going deep on purpose, using Robert Greene's interview on Andrew Huberman's podcast.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Greene, he doesn't think there's some destiny waiting for us.
No preordained path, more like it's already there.
Okay.
Hidden, in what he calls impulse voices we had as kids.
Impulse voices.
Yeah.
What's that mean?
Think back, way back childhood. What were you really into?
Good question.
What lit you up? That's the clue, the strong pulse.
Like, I was nuts about bugs as a kid, collected leaves, all that.
There you go. Even tried to hatch a praying mantis egg sac in my closet once.
Don't tell my mom.
Exactly. Those passions, even the messy ones, they're hints. Green uses great examples like Einstein, the compass thing as a kid.
All right.
Steve Jobs, messing with tech early on. Tiger Woods, totally focused on golf. Tiny little kid.
But then we grow up, right? Life
Yes.
piles on.
Responsibilities, yeah.
And that passion, it gets quieter
Like society's telling us what we should be doing.
instead of what makes us tick.
And that's when people feel lost. Chasing the wrong things,
Final validation, yeah.
instead of what energizes them. Learning feels easy when it's right.
So for, like, us grown-ups, too late.
Never. Might take some digging, though, like archaeology of your own past.
I like that.
Those seeds are still there. Green himself didn't find his path till late 30s.
Really? Wow.
It's a journey, not a finish line.
That's a good way to put it. So not about being, like, stuck in one job forever.
Nope. More like a general direction, what feels truly you.
Makes sense.
And then your job, relationships, even tiny choices they feel, right?
This reminds me, Greene also talks about the sublime, that feeling,
Mm-hmm.
of being beyond.
Transcendence, we all kind of crave it.
But he warns about a false version. How do we tell the difference?
Key point, that real sublime, it's genuine connection.
Mm-hmm.
Those peak moments where you're totally in the flow.
State, yeah.
False one, it's just temporary escape.
Uh-oh. Like when I doom scroll on my phone.
Good
Or
point.
binge shows when I've got stuff to do.
There you go. Addictions, distractions, things that feel good now W, but empty after.
Like drinking salt water when you're thirsty.
Exactly. Makes you more thirsty. Purpose is different. When it's meaningful, time flies.
Oh, I know that feeling when I'm writing.
Classic sign. Not escaping reality, but like embracing it.
Makes
Finding joy right now.
Greene even say, like, killing time is us avoiding.
Mortality.
Yeah, heavy stuff.
Deep, right. Purpose is kind of like accepting we've got limited time.
Whoa.
Making the most of it. We'll get more into this later with his death ground idea.
Okay, now we're getting somewhere. But before we go there, what about power and seduction?
Those are interesting ones. Green flips the script,
Meaning?
Power. We think it's bad, but he takes away that,
Negative spin?
that. He says it's basic. We need to influence stuff, our world, people.
So not like bossing people around.
Not that kind. More like making a good impact.
I can get behind that. Finding our, what did he call it, power slot? Where we shine.
Exactly. And then seduction. Now, this is a subset of power.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it's influence too, but rooted in attraction,
Okay.
desire. And this might surprise you. Vulnerability.
Vulnerability. I thought seduction was all like games and stuff.
It can be the fake kind. But real seduction is about real connection,
Oh,
shared joy. It takes being genuine, letting someone see you.
that's scary.
Sure, there's risk, but Green says the reward is huge. Connection, intimacy, love, even.
Okay, I get that. But how do we know it's not manipulative?
Green's got tips on reading people, body language, tone, how they look at you.
Like subtle stuff.
Yeah, it's going deeper than the surface.
But aren't we losing that skill?
Mm-hmm.
With all the tech, dating apps, even texting?
He worries about that big time.
Yeah.
Those social muscles, they're key.
Flirting, persuasion, real connection. It's all harder now.
And those deep connections, they matter for good life.
More than swiping and liking, right?
Exactly. Life's about all our senses, real people, finding our place in this whole thing.
Well said. But we can't ignore AI. It's everywhere.
Right. And that's where it gets really interesting. Green has some concerns.
About AI.
Yeah, that it's making us weaker in some ways.
Like how I use spell check instead of, actually spelling.
Or GPS instead of learning the city.
So convenient, though.
Sure, but we're bypassing the struggle.
Uh-huh.
And struggle is what builds us, shapes our brains.
Like using a calculator instead of doing the math yourself.
Precisely. You get the answer, but miss the understanding.
Deeper level, yeah.
This is where his chat GPT thing comes in. It's like taking a shortcut up a mountain.
Instead of the hike. You miss the view.
And the challenge, the feeling of earning it.
I get it. It's not just about the destination.
Exactly. The journey's important, especially with purpose.
So Green's saying, like, be careful how much we rely on AI.
Be mindful, yeah. It's shaping us, even how we think about ourselves.
But it's everywhere. How do we resist when everything's so instant now?
Tough question. We'll get more into that in part 2. But for now.
Right, back to basics.
How do we find those impulse voices? What really grabbed you as a kid?
Well, I was obsessed with the woods behind my house.
Yeah.
Building forts, bugs, making up stories.
There you go. That's gold. You were into nature creativity.
Yeah, and building things, imagining stuff.
Those are strong clues. Maybe a career with nature or making things, even writing.
Wow, okay.
Just examples, of course. The point is, explore stuff, see what sparks.
Makes sense. Not just what I think I should be doing.
Exactly. Listen to yourself, not society.
Exciting, but kind of scary, too. Where do we even start?
Great question, and one we'll tackle in part 2. For now, hold on to those memories. They're your guide. Don't worry, it's not about, like, literally going back to childhood.
Right.
More like those impulses, they grew up too.
Evolved, yeah.
Along with you. So you said nature, building, but now it's different, right?
Yeah, adult world's a whole other thing. How do we bridge that?
This is where Greene's power slot idea comes in. Finding where you fit.
Okay, I remember that.
Skills, passions, but also what the world needs, like a Venn diagram.
Overlap. Yeah. But how do you even find that? It's huge.
Feels overwhelming, right? But remember those impulse voices. They're the key.
Not just trying random jobs till one works.
Nope. Use those passions as a filter. When you look at careers, hobbies, even volunteering,
Okay.
ask yourself, does this connect to what I loved as a kid? Even if it's changed.
Like a compass pointing the way.
Exactly. It's about you, not what you think you should be doing.
Makes sense. Aligning instead of chasing approval.
And this is where, believe it or not, power and seduction come in.
Wait, seriously? How?
Greene's take on power is different. He says we all need to influence stuff.
Influence, okay.
It's basic, human, our environment, people around us.
Not like being a dictator or something.
Not that kind, no. More like
Oh.
making a positive impact. However you do it.
But seduction, that still feels kind of iffy.
I hear you. But remember, real seduction, it's not tricks or games.
Right. The genuine kind.
It's influence, too, but based on authenticity, vulnerability.
So showing your real self.
Yeah, connecting on a heart level. Inspiring people because you're you.
Okay, that makes more sense. Less manipulative.
And when you're living your purpose, you kind of radiate that energy.
People can sense it.
It's magnetic, more confidence, passion, you light up.
Purpose is fuel almost.
Exactly. Makes you want to do stuff, connect with the world.
But how do we do that? With all the tech, it's like we're less connected now.
Huge point. And this is where AI gets tricky. Remember Greene's worries.
Yeah, that it's making us dumber.
Not that, but we outsource our skills.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking, creating, even socializing.
It is easier, though.
Sure, in the short term. But Greene says we need those human things to find purpose.
The things AI can't do yet.
Exactly. So we got to create space for what challenges us, what makes us feel.
Meaningful stuff, not just scrolling.
Right. Reading, good talks, nature, whatever lights you up.
Taking back our attention, basically.
Yes. Our focus, our ability to think for ourselves, not just consuming.
Just being more intentional.
Exactly. Proactive, choosing what we do instead of letting tech choose for us.
Okay, that's a good goal. But it feels overwhelming sometimes. Where do we even start?
Great question, and one that leads us to Greene's death ground idea.
Ah, right. He mentioned that. Kind of scary name.
I know, right? But it's not literal death, more like urgency.
Urgency.
Imagine a warrior back to the wall, no escape. They gotta fight.
Makes him stronger, I guess.
They tap into something deep. Greene says we can do that too, but not with actual danger.
So like manufactured pressure.
Not quite. It's more about realizing our time is limited.
We all gonna die someday.
And that should make us ask, what do I really want to do? What matters most?
Deep questions.
It's not about being reckless, but focused. No wasted time, only what brings joy.
Like a fire under us to get moving.
Exactly. Greene says facing our mortality, that's where creativity, passion come from.
So death ground isn't about dying.
No, it's about really living. Every moment counts.
Makes sense. But how do we create that feeling?
We'll get into that in part 3 with some practical tips. It's about shifting our mindset.
Okay, I'm ready for it. Okay, so death ground. Big idea. But how does it actually help us with AI?
It's the antidote, almost. See, AI is great at the logical stuff.
Yeah, processing patterns.
Right. But purpose, that's deeper. It's about values, meaning
The human stuff.
exactly. And AI can't give you that. It can spit out info, but not what matters to you.
So, facing our mortality, it makes us think harder about what we want.
Yeah, it cuts through the noise. All those distractions, they fade away.
When you realize time is precious, suddenly what you spend it on is big.
Exactly. And this is where those impulse voices get really important.
Okay, back to childhood again.
They tell us what we truly value, what brought us joy before the world piled on.
Before we knew what we should be doing.
Right. So even with AI, those impulses are our compass. Does this new tech, this job?
Does it align with what I actually care about?
Exactly. If not, even if it's successful, it'll feel empty. Greene's big on this.
It's like AI can help us achieve stuff, but not decide what to achieve.
That's up to us. And the urgency Death Ground gives us, that helps us choose.
Makes sense. It's easy to get swept up in the hype, all the new shiny things.
But Greene says, slow down, ask, is this serving my purpose?
Not just some algorithm's idea of success.
Right. Because even if AI gets super smart, even if it can do everything.
You can't tell us what a good life looks like.
Nope. That's still up to us. And that's maybe the most human thing there is.
Deciding what matters, what's worth our time.
Exactly. And that choice, that's where real power lies. Not in the tech, but in US.
This has been amazing. Really makes you think.
Glad you found it helpful. Green stuff, it's always thought-provoking.
So to wrap up,
Yeah.
for our listeners, what's the one thing they should take away from all this?
Don't be afraid to dig deep. Your purpose, it's already there, waiting.
Like those seeds we talked about.
Exactly. And don't let AI distract you from that journey. Use it as a tool, but stay in control.
Your life, your choices.
And remember, time is precious, so make it count.
Great advice. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time.